Hey guys, me again for part 2 of this video about a month in the future or so. And since I didn't film an outro for that last video, that also means that I didn't film an intro for this one. Anyway guys, let's get right into finishing up that oil gasket on my car. I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so some of the other things I wanted to do while I got the coolant out is I wanted to pull this coolant bottle out, clean it out really well, and I want to pull this crossover tube off, clean all of this flaking paint off, and paint it black again with some high temp paint, make it look nice. But here's a problem I'm running into. Okay, so whenever you want to add coolant back into the system on these Cobras, you have to take this cap off right here in order to be able to do it. Well, this one is completely stuck and I can't get it off. So hopefully whenever I take this crossover tube off, I'll be able to get that cap off somehow. Alright, so I've only got 18 minutes of memory card left. So let's see if I can get all of this stuff off in 18 minutes. Take the cap off here. I got this bolt, and this bolt to take off. Those look like they're probably 10 millimeter. Alright, so I'm not getting anywhere with this bolt. I'm going to move on to the crossover over here and see if I can get the crossover off, and that way I don't get too frustrated trying to get this bolt off, and I'll come back to that later. One thing I would recommend doing, definitely, if you're getting frustrated doing something, either stop and take a break or move on to something else, and then that way you don't get too frustrated doing it. You can go back to it later after you've had time to think about it, and then, you know, maybe you'll think of a way to get the bolt off of there, or whatever else it may be, whatever else you're doing. So let's move on to the crossover over here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these spark plug wires and just move them out of the way. I'm also going to pull this idle air control tube off of here. We've got a couple of 10 millimeter nuts right here on top of the alternator bracket. Okay, there's one. There's the next one. You're gonna have to pull this bracket completely off the alternator. Don't worry, the alternator shouldn't have to go anywhere. You'll have 2 bolts here at the front of the alternator bracket to pull off. There's one. There's number 2. Now I can pop this alternator bracket off of there. You got to pull that nut off right there and that nut off right there. Don't forget to disconnect both of your coolant temperature sensor harnesses. There's one located on either side of the alternator, on either side of that coolant crossover tube. You'll need to disconnect both of those. So I have had a little bit of an issue trying to get this water neck out, so I have now had to resort to taking the alternator off. And to get the alternator off, because I have underdrive pulleys, I have to take the water pump pulley off in order to be able to loosen that bolt right there to be able to slide the alternator up and out of there. Well, it's starting to get dark out and I'm running out of memory, and I'm also running out of patience right now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop working on the car for tonight. I got a full battery and an empty SD card, and I figure we'll probably do a little bit of work on the Cobra today. There's one thing I want to check out. I was watching a video from CJ Pony Parts where Bill was working on his 93 teal Cobra. Love that car, love that color. But he was looking behind the glove box and he was saying that on the Cobras, Now, of course, he's talking about a 93. On the Cobras, the build date is written on the back of the glove box. So I want to check mine out here and see if the build date is indeed written on the back of the glove box on it as well. All right, so don't mind the oil and the alternator in my floorboard. That will all go back into my car at some point. Pull all this stuff out of it. Boy, I really hope it's on here. It's one thing I've been looking for a long time was the build date on this car. I actually contacted Ford. I sent them an email. They did respond, to their credit. They did respond. Sent them my VIN number and everything, and they were unable to give me the build date on this car, which is really unfortunate. So I want to see if it's on the back of this. I'm going to set you down for just a second so I'll need both hands to be able to pop this thing down. So while the build date is not necessarily written on the back of my glove box here, there is a date on a stamp back here. You can barely read it. To me, it looks like it says 06/17/98. So that would tell me that it was built June 17th of 1998. I was always really curious about that because I wanted to see if this was one of the last Cobras built, or towards last, I should say, one of the last Cobras in this body style built. And I was never sure about that. I don't know when they stopped the production run on the 98 Cobras. I would suspect that because they were bringing a 99 Cobra out, they would have switched over, I don't know, probably June or July to the next body style, but I don't know that for a fact. So 6/17, is that right? Am I reading that right? I can't really tell. Let me get my phone out and get a flashlight on it, because that's really dim. All right, where did I set my phone? Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay. What's that say to you? Oh, well, I thought it said 6/17. It says 6/10/98. Can you read that at all? I bet you probably can't. But hey, that's cool to know, though. I always wondered when it was built. I always kind of figured it would have been built in July, something like that, but because July is my birthday month, so I guess I was just kind of hoping that it was built during my birthday month. But to find out that it was built in June, that's pretty cool too. And as you can see here, I've still got my original SVT owner's manual that says SVT right there. I think that's pretty cool. I wonder what's inside of here. I wonder if I still have the window sticker. If I had the window sticker, it's definitely not inside of here. But there is that right there. That's kind of cool. And the maintenance schedule, which I'm sure is empty. So check it out. I put a solar panel up here on top of the Lexus, ran the wire down into the hood so I can keep that battery nice and charged since we don't ever drive this thing. All right, let's pop the hood on this thing. Oh, look at that dirty engine bay. Well, once I get everything put back together, I'll get it nice and cleaned up. It'll look pretty again. Okay, so sometimes when I'm working on something and I stop for the evening or whatever, I'll put the bolts back on the places where they go. That way I know exactly where they go and I don't lose them. Now, what I could also do is I could get a little container from the place that I work that I could sort all the bolts out into and then label it. That would also work really well. You see this here? You see this kind of stuff? I never saw any of that kind of stuff when I was living over in Texas, and living here in Alabama, I see a lot more of it all over the aluminum parts. Not entirely sure what that is. I'm sure it's some kind of corrosion or something like that. You can see on the idle air control valve right there, you can see a little bit of it on there as well. It's also on the alternator. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work on this thing. I'm going to see if I can pull this tube off so I can try to get this cap off of there. So hopefully this is a decent angle and you're not just going to get the back of my head or something like that. Pull these screws back off of here. This thing will be a little bit more difficult to... Oh, damn it, I need a magnet now. I just dropped a screw. I'm going to go get a magnet real quick so I can pick that up. I don't want to lose it. It's a little bit chilly out here today, guys. I wasn't expecting that. Couldn't find a magnet. I did find this deal here. Hopefully that's going to work to pick it up. And I found this. I think I can use that to help me get this piece off of there. All right, so I'm going to reach down in here. Ooh. Would you believe that? Got it on the first try. Set that there. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna take these off of here. So would you believe that I can't find WD-40 or anything like it anywhere around this house? Would you actually believe that? Because I can't. I can't find any WD-40 or anything even remotely like WD-40 around this house anywhere. So I guess I'll just get back to trying to get this thing off of here. I'm just going to go ahead. You know what? I'm going to put the GoPro into time-lapse mode. So it's a better time-lapse than me actually editing the video to make it time-lapse and go faster. So I'm just going to throw the GoPro into time-lapse mode and see how that goes. See if that's any better. Are you ready for it? Because here it comes. Wait, hold on. Let's try that again. Here it comes. Okay, so back to regular speed here. Obviously, I still don't have that coolant crossover out of there. So I need to find some WD-40 or something and let that soak overnight. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out of there tonight, which is terribly, terribly unfortunate. I'm not very happy about it. Plus, it's getting dark outside. So I need to find some kind of a spray lubricant of sorts and see if I can't get it slid down in there. Because I've tried freaking everything I can think of. All the tools that I have here I've tried to use to get that thing out of there, and I just don't know what it's going to end up taking. So I need to find some WD-40, I guess, and go from there. I'll be back with you guys in just a few minutes. I'm going to go see if I can find some. Yeah. Still nothing on the WD-40 front. So I got some gloves on now. See if I can just kind of yank it out of there. I don't know if this is going to work or not. This is again what happens when you don't have the proper supplies or tools or whatever for the job. I really could have used some WD-40 to spray around right there and right there in hopes that maybe it would help loosen it up and I can pull it out of there. I don't have any of that stuff. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to go get some. Probably not gonna do it tonight. I don't know if I feel like driving all the way over there to parts store or to say like a Walmart or something like that and picking it up. Actually, I do wonder if the Dollar General might have some. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm gonna go check the Dollar General. It's right around the corner from me, and see if maybe they have some WD-40, something like that, and I'll be back. I think I got some bright ass lights I can put under the hood too to help light it up so I can still record while I'm doing this. All right, so I'm back from the store. Picked up a can of WD-40. It took me about 15 minutes to find it, and it was in the very first place that I looked. So let me see here. I know that doesn't make any sense at all. Took me 15 minutes to find it, and it was in the first place I looked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray some WD-40 around this. Hopefully this light's bright enough for this camera and that it can pick it up all right. But I think that's really where all I'm going to do tonight is spray some WD-40 around this and hope that it helps release it. Here, let that soak down in there. All right. So I should probably let that sit. Probably for a little while, maybe overnight. And see if that's going to allow me to pull that crossover pipe out of there. Now I've got some other plans for it. But I don't know if I should end the video here or if I should continue it tomorrow. Working on this thing again. You know what? I'll go ahead and continue it tomorrow. But that's where I'm going to end it for tonight. And then we'll get back to working on the car probably tomorrow. Whoa, what am I recording here? Check this thing out. Yeah. Can you see that? We're all about that race car lifestyle. No carpet having race car lifestyle. Yeah, race car Lincoln LS. Woo-hoo.
Hey guys, Future Robert again, and I didn't realize just how much footage I had recorded, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off here and roll it into a part 3. Now part 3 will come out 2 days after part 2 does, or this video, so watch for it 2 days after this video drops. I'll have part 3 for you and everything. Make sure that you like and subscribe and comment, and make sure you're definitely subscribed because you don't want to miss part 3. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in part 3.